Melisha Luisi. Oh, hi, Melisha. How are you? Well, yeah, Melisha, I think. Or Malika. Okay. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Hopefully that. I think that's. Bonsoir Serge. Hello Serge, how are you? From Canada. Hello Chanel. How are you, my girl? So I'm waiting a bit for, I don't know how it is where you people are, but it's been raining today, whole day, rain. It's a good thing because the soil was dry and it really needed some water. My garden needed the water too. My crops needed the water. I just okay, waiting a few minutes. A few minutes for those who are coming on. Welcome to you who are there. Thank you for coming by, for stopping by. Thank you for your time. It's great to have you. And I'm thankful to God that we are alive and making the best out of our lives. Yes. It's been a speedy day, a really speedy day and a rainy day. But I appreciate the rain. I love the rain. It calms down the temperature. Hi, Leandra. Welcome to you. How are you doing, my dear sister? Yes. Thank you for coming. Good night. Hope you had a wonderful day, Leandra. Okay, so tonight, I was just waiting for a few people to come back, but tonight, interesting, going to talk about how to rewire the brain and deal with anxiety, panic attack. Yeah, you're good, you're great, yeah, good, that's great, girl. It's good. Going to deal with anxiety tonight. Dealing with it, rewiring your brain to deal with anxiety. That's what we're dealing with tonight. I think that's Leonita there. It looks like that's Leonita to me. I can't see it really good, but I think that's Leonita. Morning. Good morning. Vous levez way. Morning. I agree with you. Oh, no. Okay, so sometimes in our life, everybody has been through the sun just rising. The sun just rising by your home. Sister Lucine, welcome. Thank you, darling. Much love to you too. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming by. So tonight the subject is anxiety and how we can deal with it, because we really live in a time where we get really anxious. We can get really anxious, and anxiety can become really overwhelming. Let's see how we can approach it, how we can deal with it. Invite a friend, share with somebody that you think who may need to hear this, so that we can help people feel better, be better in their lives, and face whatever they're going through with another approach, with a better approach. We are live on Clifton, welcome. We are live on Where There Is Life, There Is Hope. So we can decide either to face everything and rise, or flee everything. How they say that? Fear everything and run. It's either one way or the other. But in one way, everyone in some point in time has faced or is facing anxiety. And I have been there, and I know many of you who are there tonight, who is coming by tonight, is either facing anxiety at this very time, at this very moment, yes, at this very moment, or has been through anxiety. So it can be something which can really, it can destroy your life if you don't know how to deal with it. If you don't know how to go about it, it can destroy your life. Hello, good night, Sister Lucine, yes. Okay, so we are going to see how to rewire our brain. And rewiring our brain, I will explain to you a little bit what does it mean when I say rewire your brain. And the brain itself is really has the capacity to rewire itself all the time, and that is what you call neuroplasticity. You know, Before, scientists used to think that when a baby is born, after a certain time, the child, the brain get locked in one place. But today, hello Naima, welcome. But today we can see that with the new technology shows us that it gives us the image where we can actually see that the brain is changing all the time, and it changes according to the activities. It changes according to what you're doing. So we have a lot of examples which shows us that the brain rewires itself all the time. So it means that changes are going through our brains all the time. And I say thank God that God placed our head on top of our shoulders. He knows why. Because it's one of the most important parts of our body. Every activity is coming from our brain. Every activity is coming from the brain. Okay, and that is why it is important to take care of this part of your body, not only the rest of your body, but also your brain, taking care of it. So in the last session, we shared about the power of the brain, and you can rewire your brain to do almost anything. You can wire your brain to success, and you can wire your brain to failure. You can wire your brain to be always in a state of poverty, and you can wire your brain to be in a state of prosperity. You can wire your brain, to stay in anxiety or to get out of anxiety, to control the anxiety. So you have that. Isn't this good news? People, isn't this good news? To know that you can choose to, you can get your brain to wire itself. Yes, it is. Yes, thank you for answering, Leonita, I think. Thank you. Yes, it's good news to know that whatever I've been doing, whatever I'm facing today, whatever you're facing today, your brain has been wired to present you with the behavior which matches your situation. Now, that's an important point here. So you may even, so much in that, you may even believe that what's going on in your body is impossible to change. What's going on in your head is impossible to change. Okay? The good news is that the brain is wired to do anything. It is wired to do. Sometimes it is wired, we wire our brains to do things that we don't want. You understand? And sometimes people wire their brains to do what they want. So you can wire your brain to do what you want. And the good news is that the good news is that if until now your brain has been wired to do what you don't want, which means that it brings about that anxiety, it brings about that complaining attitude, whatever, you can rewire it to bring about the results that you want. So imagine that you are actually experiencing an anxiety. An anxiety can come through anything. It can maybe an exam that you have. Maybe you went to the doctor and the doctor said something is not right, even if the doctor doesn't say what, but the minute that he says that something is not right, you feel, so the brain is clicking away, and you feel anxious. And some people get anxiety just by imagining certain things, and this is important. The last time we spoke about imagination. So there are a few things you can do. Chamel, welcome. Chamel, welcome. There are a few things you can do to rewire your brain to be less anxious, and instead of being anxious, to remain collected, to be cool instead of being anxious. It is simple. There are simple things that you can do, but I won't say it is easy. Sometimes some things are simple, but they are not easy. Okay? So before I go deeper into the subject, for those of you who are new here, my name is Jacqueline Poleon. Okay? My name is Jacqueline Poleon, and I'm a therapist. I'm a coach. I am a master practitioner, PNL, a public speaker. These are things that I do, okay? These are things that I do, okay? So, and tonight we're dealing with the subject of anxiety, okay? And how it affects you and how you can deal with it. From, COVID has been, the situation over 2 years has really, many people is just drowning in anxiety, and they don't know what to do to get out of it. And I see people who become really, suicidal and all that through anxiety, and you just get the impression that everything is just falling apart in your life. So there are ways you can deal with it. For anxiety comes from basically our fears. Our fears cause us to be anxious. Okay? So to continue, I will give you an example. Yonita Joseph, did she say, I saw something and it went away? I don't know. Yonita, is there something that you want to say? I saw something and it disappeared. Okay, Rowan, welcome. So, okay. An example of neuroplasticity, neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity. Okay, I'm getting there. Okay, love. Yes. So, I went to Paris last year. I'll give you an example. I went to Paris last year to complete my my program neuro-linguistic practitioner course. I wanted to be a master practitioner. I wanted to complete that course, and that's a course in in free. You have to do first. You have to do the technique, then you have to do the technical, then you have to do the practitioner, and then you have to do the master practitioner. So I went last year to do it, although COVID was going on. But, sometimes when you have your business to do, you can't let things stop you. Life goes on, isn't it? Doesn't it? Right. So I went there and I found myself with people who have very high education, and I was the only black woman. I was the only black woman with these people. So, anyway, it was very, very, very intense. Yes. So it was very intense. This course was very intense. It's like I had to learn like something which should have taken a year. I had to do it in 2 months. So because I already had the practitioner exams, I thought that it was going to be, really simple. But I found out that it was really, really, really intense. And what happened is that I really had to get myself to put myself in a position, condition myself in such a way that I can learn quickly, and take in a lot of information quickly, And what I realized, there was a lot going on in my head, because I had to learn quickly. I stayed late at night to study, wake up early in the morning to go and take the train, go to school, go all that. So, what really happened is that I changed. Things changed in my brain. Things really got to change in my head, because I was really getting anxious about it, because there is a certain amount of points that you must get in order to get the exams, and I got anxious, so anxious that I wasn't eating, and I really didn't have much time for myself. It was just the exams. But then I said I have to get there, because I had to find the motivation to do it, which means that I said to myself, I'm representing black women, I'm representing Black people, I'm representing St. Lucia, I'm representing Martinique. So you see, that's what I said to myself to motivate myself. And because I said that myself was, since I'm representing these people and these countries, I can't allow myself to fail. So I said to my brains and my anxiety, even if it scares me to hell to do that exam, to go through that exams, I will go through it and I will succeed no matter what. And I can tell you that no matter how intense it got, I find somewhere to stay. I was a little further, I was living a little further, I had to take the train and everything. What I did, I went and rent somewhere that was closer to the school so that I don't lose any time over taking train and all these things. And it really changed the way I learned. It changed the way I used to learn things. Now I can learn things really quicker, really quicker. So you see, that's how neuroplasticity, that's how it is formed. That's how your brain, if you don't allow the anxiety to take over, even if you're scared, even if you feel the fear, but you do what you have to do, because what you have to do is more important. If you give more importance to what you have to do than the fear, then you will get over that. Then your anxiety will decrease. Okay, so I'm continuing. So, okay. So that was it for me. Because your brain has the ability to wire itself to learn, to grow, and to heal. And I really stress on the healing part. You see, your brain has the ability to rewire itself to heal. So, do you want to know how your brain processes anxiety? Would you like to know how your brain processes anxiety? We're going into the subject right now. How would you like to know about that? How does your brain process anxiety? Would you like to know? Come on now. Sure, yes. Yes. Leonita said yes. Who else would like to know how your brain processes the anxiety? Only Leonita? Okay. That's all right. So to begin with, you have 3 principles of anxiety. 3 principles, students. First of all, you have to understand what is anxiety. First of all, what is anxiety? Now that you already know. You know the answer to that question, because you know how it feels to be anxious. You know how it feels to be overwhelming with anxiety. Hi Laurie, welcome. You know how it feels to feel anxious, to feel overwhelming, how it feels to, you wake up in the morning and you really don't feel like it, you don't feel like going to work, or you come from work, what's going on in the home is so bad, you don't want to go home, you feel anxious about it, it makes your chest hurt, or you have back pain, or you get a headache because you don't want to face that. It makes you anxious to face it because it is so overwhelming what's going on in your life actually, or you have that subject to talk about with your spouse, with your husband or your wife or your children, and you've been through it before, you expect, you know what to expect already, so it is overwhelming, it makes you anxious because you're telling yourself, I know the answer that I will get, so so it's somewhere inside, it's just getting, the anxiety is taking control, so you know what it feels to be anxious. But now, what I would really like you to understand is you need to understand your point of view about anxiety. What's your position about anxiety? What's your point of view? Okay, because anxiety is not a bad thing. It's the way that you deal with it, and the way how I deal with it is my point of view about it that will make the difference in my life. So how do you view anxiety? Do you think or believe that it is a bad thing? Because anxiety, as I say, is not fundamentally bad. It is uncomfortable, yes, and sometimes it gets disordered and it gets in your way, it gets overwhelming. But like every emotion that we have, sometimes comfortable emotions and sometimes uncomfortable emotions, anxiety can become disordered. But in fact, it serves for an important purpose. Your anxiety serves for an important purpose, which means that anxiety is there to show you okay, the function of it is to motivate you to avoid real danger. Example, if you're standing on a cliff, you're getting close to a cliff, you will feel anxious, you will feel anxiety. And what does the function of it is to tell you, be careful, be careful. If you go too close, you might fall. Or you have an important exam, you will feel anxiety. What it's actually telling you is that the important message here is that I don't want to fail. I want to get the right how do you say that? The right notes with my exam. I want to succeed this exam. I don't want to fail this exam. So I'm feeling anxious about it. I'm wondering if I have learned enough, if I have done the right revisions, etc. So it's bringing about anxiety. Okay, so it tells us that something is really important to us. And what happens is that when anxiety gets overwhelming, you will have this chemical reaction, which is the cortisol. This chemical reaction in the body with adrenaline, it will trigger that sympathetic activation and it will prepare you for action. That's the function of anxiety. So you see, anxiety, it may be uncomfortable. If you can view anxiety as comfortable, okay, because what we do most of the time, we see it as uncomfortable, it's not natural, and then we want to escape. Hello? Yes, and what we try to do is that we don't want to face it. We don't want to face it. We try to escape. So you develop, you can see anxiety as uncomfortable, but like every emotion, it is acceptable. Ange Michel, bonsoir. It is acceptable and it's a normal part of life. Anxiety is a normal part of life because hi Mia, yes, anxiety is a normal part of life, and it really shows you, its function is to show you that something is important to you, like every other emotion. Okay, now what you can develop new tools to work with it, including to work not only with just anxiety, but to work with anxiety when it gets, disordered, when it is getting overwhelming, it's taking control over you. You can develop new tools to work with it. Now, what is disordered anxiety? Do you understand it? Do you understand disordered anxiety? Okay, so disordered anxiety is when anxiety seems to be controlling your life. When you get to the point where you don't have taste for nothing, or you always feeling like you want to cry, before anything you want to cry, you get really sensitive, you get oversensitive, you don't feel like doing the things that you love to do before, or you do things out of the way, you go to the extreme also. That could be some kind of anxiety, so that you don't face it, and I will explain it to you just now. It makes it difficult for you to do daily chores. Some people, they start something and they cannot finish it because they get so anxious. Going to work can cause you anxiety if the environment of the workplace is not, is not cool, it's not nice. So, or going to school, if you get, if somebody is bullying you at school, you get anxious about that. you know, and it gets overwhelming. The anxiety gets overwhelming. So you start losing taste, and you don't want to, you start, you know, staying in your little corner. Right. I am there too, Sophia. Okay, Mia. Okay, thank you. Thank you for being by. Hi, Sophia. Thank you. Now, there is one thing, and that is very important if we can just, you know, grasp it. There is one thing that we do which gives our anxiety more muscles. You know, it's like it makes it get stronger. There is one thing that we do which causes the anxiety to get more and more overwhelming. What is it that we do? Well, we escape. We escape the anxiety. We do anything and everything that will, you know, we do anything and everything to prevent ourselves from facing the fear, from facing that thing which makes us anxious. And that is one way, really, that is one of the most rapid, quick ways that to get your anxiety going stronger. Every time you try to avoid it, it gets like, it just gets overwhelming. You understand? So if that's the case, if that's what you've been doing, your anxiety will just continue getting stronger and stronger and more overwhelming. So when in that case, disordered anxiety is when you feel like you perceive in danger. You feel in danger, whereas you're safe. Which means that you can see something as a danger, you can perceive it as a danger, whereas this thing is not really a danger to you. And there you can, your anxiety will go up. Okay? So I will give you an example. I'll give you an example so that you can understand it. I was working with a client last year, and she's much better now. She's okay now. In fact, it's not just better, she's just blooming today. Okay? So I was working with her last year. I started working with her last year when I came from my course, my Master PNL course. I started working with her. And she was really going for anxiety. She was on medication and all that. And what happened, she was getting so anxious about life. She was afraid of being alone. She was afraid of taking her car. She was afraid of meeting people. She was just afraid, fear. And what it did, it really triggered her anxiety, and it got overwhelming to the point where she couldn't sleep. She would wake up being anxious, feeling anxiety. She would sleep feeling anxiety, and during the day she would call any and anybody, you know, to keep her company over the phone and all these kind of things. That's what when you see emotions get out of hand, out of control, that's what they does. They does things like that to us, and that's what her anxiety was doing to her. So in the case of the car, I will take that example. In the case of the car, she was afraid to take her car, even to come to the office to see me, to come and take her therapy. She was afraid of taking her car. So what I did was I started with her. I started with her, you know, little by little, so that she can start driving her car by herself. But to get to that place, I couldn't just tell her, take the car and come. Yes, thank you, Mia. God bless you too. So I couldn't just tell her, take her car and come. So her anxiety got disordered, was really being disordered and overwhelming. So she had to start, what she had to do, she had to start going by her car, by herself, at least go by the car, you know. That's small steps, really small steps you have to do when you want to get out of anxiety. She go by the car, she looks at the car, certain times when she really got accustomed to it, she was asked to sit in the car, you know, just sit in the car. Just sit in the car. After that, she had to, you know, drive for 1 to 5 minutes. Just that, only 1 to 5 minutes by herself. And then, and little steps and little steps and little steps that we put into place for her to get acquainted with driving, for her to start back driving, start anew driving her car by herself and not being afraid of driving. You see, so, and then other things I did with her. Now she sleeps really well. She's sleeping, she's waking up, she's moving around, you know, and it's just really nice when you see people get out of these kind of situations. Whereas she was really plunging, diving deep into anxiety. Sarah Lee, hi Sarah Lee, welcome. Okay, so you see, so this was just a little example, a little really tiny bit of what we worked together with. Yes. Welcome, Brother Silburn. Okay, so this was just a little, you know, a little bit of what we did. Yes, amen to that. A little bit of what the work we did, because sometimes you can choose to work alone, or you know, you can choose to go to a therapist to help you get out of anxiety, to help you control your anxiety. So the anxiety is when, disordered anxiety is when anxiety sends to you a response that as if to tell you that you're in danger, you're in danger, you're in danger, whereas you're safe. You see? So it interferes with your ability to function. And this determines if you meet, and in therapy, this is what will determine if you meet the criteria for anxiety disorder diagnosis. When you attempt to avoid anxiety, it stops you from effectively facing life. Okay, so you will start avoiding school, you will start avoiding work, you will start calling in sick, you will close yourself indoors, like you see many people do. You will start letting go of your friends because your friends can't understand you and you cannot stand them. Your social life will diminish, you know, it will diminish. And there what happens is that your anxiety is really taking control over your life, and you lose taste for what you love. At this point, what is happening is that the anxiety is really spiraling, literally spiraling out of control. And then it becomes a vicious cycle. It really becomes a vicious cycle where, and I will explain that to you. And the last time, last Wednesday, we said that how you interpret your daily experiences will impact your life positively or negatively. Okay? Either safe, you will feel in how we interpret our experiences makes us feel either safe or either in danger. Now, all that is we are the ones doing it. We are the ones who are doing it, maybe unconsciously, but we are the ones responsible for our thoughts. No one is responsible for our thoughts except us. Okay? So, what happened is, in my case, I'll give you a little example. Things I went through in my life when I was a child, things I went through as a child, when I started, you know, growing up, it caused me to be anxious. It didn't only cause me to hate myself and all the rest. It caused me to be anxious. I had anxiety, and I wasn't even aware of how deep, of how overwhelming my anxiety was. I wasn't even aware of it, you know. So what happened is that I was always in fear and in panic, okay? Because it makes you feel uncomfortable. You feel those uncomfortables, and what happened is that when you start believing certain things, you will think that it's true. When you accommodate certain thoughts, your brain will start making you think that it is true. So if you had a bad experience with a cat or a dog, and you tell yourself, oh boy, a good thing I didn't pass by that cat, because you saw the cat, and the cat make you jump, it startled you, you were surprised. If you take that as if, oh boy, I was really in danger with that cat could have, a good thing I ran away from the cat. So what your brain will actually do is at that time it will say, oh, really? It's because you escaped, that's why you're still alive. So, okay, I will give you more of that. Because that's the function of the brain. That's how it works. Whatever you give it, it will give you back. Okay? So, which means that the next time you see a cat, you may have a strange reaction. And maybe people won't understand. You say, cats are dangerous, or dogs are dangerous. You understand? So, when that happens, you are in avoidance because you're telling yourself, okay, I escaped, so that is why I'm still alive. You start seeing the experience as a dangerous one. So your brain goes really, your brain says, oh, okay, well, since that's what happened, since it's because you escaped, that's why you're still alive, I'm going to give you more of that. And then it increases. I hope you are all getting this. When you have that way of behaving towards certain experiences, it increases your anxiety. You get into the vicious cycle because whatever you give your brain, it will give it back to you. Whatever you tell your brain, it will say, okay, well, let's do that. That's how powerful our brains are. And the same thing goes for anxiety. Okay? So you have to know your brain, when this happens, your brain will start increasing your anxiety. As much as when you do something and succeed, your brain will say the same thing. Let's do that again. You see? For example, in my case, last year I succeeded the exam. Even if I was, it got me anxious, I succeeded. So then, what literally happens is that now my brain is always telling me, okay, let's do it again. We succeed, okay, let's do it. Okay, let's do it again. So you see. So that's the exact way it behaves when you avoid a threat and survive. Your brain says, let's do that again. And that's how people get so anxious. That's why anxiety gets so overwhelming that some people say, I'm struggling with it. I'm struggling. I'm always so anxious. I'm always feeling that anxiety. I wake up feeling, I'm not feeling good. I feel so down. I'm always so down, you know. Yes, because you get into the vicious cycle of where your brain keeps saying, let's do that again, let's do it again. So it's spiraling out of control. Okay? So remember one thing. Your thoughts brings emotions. Your emotions bring about your behavior. Your behavior brings about your habits, and your habit brings about your lifestyle. We said that last Wednesday. I hope you remember it. So our brain, when convinced that someone or something or a situation is a threat, it takes action into its own hands by increasing your anxiety level. That's what it does. Every time anxiety is felt and the situation is avoided, our anxiety goes up a notch. Okay? In other words, avoidance feeds anxiety. Every time you have something to do and it makes you anxious, or you have somewhere to go, in an office, face somebody, or or you have something to say to a spouse, to a friend, to whoever, and hello Blaze, welcome, and you avoid it, what you're really doing is that you're feeding your anxiety, and you're getting into avoidance. You're avoiding things, and since you're avoiding it, your brain, you're spiraling into, you're going into that vicious cycle, and your anxiety keeps going up, until it gets so overwhelming that you just can't control it anymore, and it's controlling you. Okay, right. So if you have, like, you have social anxiety, because there are different types of anxiety. If you have social anxiety, for some people who have social anxiety, when they invite them to somewhere, and you know, social anxiety is you have the fear of, or you know, of meeting people, the fear of being around new people, the fear, you know, of really being yourself, you know. Well, when people are like that, most you may be that person that who will drink and get drunk before you go to the party. Do you know people like that? I know people like that. They will get drunk before going to the party, and you say, "Monsieur, pas ouvert un party, monsieur, pas même ouvert un fête, mon ami, ouvert tout sous." Yes, yes, because that person has what you call social anxiety. Okay, so the person will either get high or get drunk, or you know, something like that, before they interact with other people. Okay, right. In a relationship, when people has been hurt and you're scared of getting hurt again, what do? You have this what you do? You don't let others get into your heart, and there are many people like that. Many people like that. They don't let people approach their hearts because they've been hurt. They don't let the person get in. They say, "Oh, I don't want her to get too close. I don't want him to get too close. Just now I get attached to him and that person hurt me. Right. So you're running for your life. And that's what anxiety loves. Anxiety loves it when you run for your life instead of facing it, you know. So, right. So emotionally, you are emotionally distant, and so many relationships are breaking up because of that. People are emotionally distant, and we get conflict with our children also because of that. We are emotionally distant just because we don't want to get hurt. We avoid. We are in avoidance. Okay? So we protect ourselves by not committing. Many people, they don't commit, and they don't commit to anything at all because of the fear of being hurt. So they're spiraling into this sort of anxiety unconsciously, and what happens is that they go on and on and on in that vicious cycle of escaping, avoiding that thing that maybe where they're not really in danger, where they're not endangered really, where it may be safe to be, but because of the fear of getting hurt, because of the fear of being rejected, because of those fears, what we do, we don't commit to anything, and we remain in that vicious cycle for years and years and years. Okay? Right. So what avoidance, I would love to ask you tonight, what avoidance are you using? What avoidance are you using to prevent yourself from facing your fears? What are the avoidance that you are using? Is it social media? So many of us are using social media to avoid ourselves from facing our fears, which may be the fear of feeling alone, the fear of not being accepted, of not feeling accepted, of not feeling love. We go on social media. Leonisa said she stays in her room. Yes, that can be avoidance. Blame. Are we blaming somebody for what's happening in our lives, that could be an avoidance. Are we in denial of what happened in the past or what's happening in our life? Actually, are we in denial? Many of us are in denial. I'm okay. I don't have nothing. I'm okay, man. And you know deep inside you're tearing down into pieces. You're breaking down into pieces like a porcelain vase. You're breaking like a clay vase. You have broken inside. You feel broken into thousands of pieces. But you're in denial. You don't want to face it, because if you face it, the pain you will feel, you don't want to feel the pain once and for all. But if you face the pain, it will be a pain that you face once and for all. But as long as you're in denial, you just going over it again and again and again. And what it's doing is taking control over your life. Are you distracting yourself? What distractions are you having? Playing games? Going out there? Drinking? Partying? None of that is a bad thing, except that if we are using it to create avoidance, it gets in our way. Okay? Are you coping skills? Do you know that coping skills also is a type of distraction? Is a type of avoidance? Coping skills, like, well, what can I do? I will see what can I do to cope with the situation, because, and so many people are in that situation. And I'm taking the example of rape and incest, where instead of we facing what's happening in the home, or facing what happened, what we do, we learn. We try and learn how to cope with it. We learn skills to cope with it instead of facing it. That too is an avoidance. So regardless of the avoidance, it increases your anxiety, and it makes it worse, and it reduces your world. Okay? Avoidance makes your world look small, scary, and unhappy. Avoidance is the real factor that fuels anxiety. You can intervene and stop it from spiraling out of control by taking action. Take action. What this means? You have to let yourself feel the anxiety. Okay? Feel that is actually safe to do what you have to do. Feel, take action, experience your emotions. When the thing is good, we like to laugh and feel this emotion that we're feeling. Feel the joy, feel happy, feel free, feel, oh, I feel good tonight, oh, that, but when it is uncomfortable, we avoid it as much as possible, and we don't allow ourselves to feel it, so we escape. Our brains help us to escape it. Okay. Feel the sensation and don't run away from it. Because it's really one of the things that the escape, the avoidance, is what really is the real factor, in fact, that fuels our anxiety. Oh boy. Yes. Now, most times we realize that when we escape, we survive. And as long as you, when you see, you stop the avoidance instead of, fear everything and run, you do face everything and rise. What happens is that your brain will go, oh, I guess it's okay. I guess it's okay. So now I can drive alone. So now I'm no more afraid of speaking to this person. So now I'm no more afraid of being in a crowd. So now I'm no more afraid of standing for my rights, you know. And so now I'm no more afraid of the crawling insects. I used to be afraid of crawling insects like caterpillar. I used to be afraid of it, but since gardening to me is more important than being afraid of caterpillars, so what I do, I have to do my garden. So even if there are caterpillars, I'll do my best to get rid of them, to face it. But gardening is more important to me. And since I told my brains, I faced it, I faced that caterpillar thing, well, what happened is that now I'm doing my garden, I'm okay. Even if I see a caterpillar, I wouldn't die. So there my brain go, well, okay, I guess it's okay. Caterpillars are not so dangerous. You understand? No. The right thing is not to stay in your room. All depends why are you staying in your room, because if you are closing up on yourself, you are creating avoidance. You are avoiding. You have to understand why you're staying in your room. Okay? Terrence, hi, welcome. Okay? So when you face it, your brain get a surge. Yes, your brain get a surge of relief. And to answer your question, Leonita, as I said the last time, a group will be built for all women so that women can come and share really freely what they're facing and get information and get tools on how to work with what you're facing. Okay? All right. So what happens when you face it? Your brain will get a surge of relief, and which will lead to the anxiety will gradually decrease. Your anxiety will gradually decrease over time, which means that it will be important for you to be patient. Don't be in a hurry, okay? And what will happen? You will gradually increase your emotional muscles. You understand? It's something that you practice. Everything is practice. Everything takes time. Everything is practice, okay? Giving yourself the ability to feel uncomfortable emotions. Giving yourself the ability, the right, the authority self to feel the uncomfortable sensations without feeling the need to escape all the time. So the end result will be you get better at feeling things, because that's what we cannot live without feelings. We have to let ourselves feel things. And as time goes by and you continue to take these actions, your brain will build new neural pathways indicating that not everything on earth is dangerous. And for the most things are not dangerous. So you won't be able, you won't feel the need to be anxious in many situations. It will change your brain chemistry, because when you're anxious so much, when you're going through anxiety again and again in this vicious cycle, the chemical what your brain is pouring out into your body, the chemical factor being poured into your body is cortisol. Too much stress brings about too much cortisol. You need to face whatever you have to face, so that your brain can deliver the. Hello, Michael. Face whatever you have to face. Face whatever is causing you fear, so that your brain can now deliver into your body the hormones of joy, the hormones of happiness. Okay, endorphin, serotonin, and all these kind of things. Your brain can do that. Your body is like a factory. It produces chemistry. There is chemistry going on inside there. There is chemistry going on inside of this body. And all depends on how you think. All depends on how you approach things. All depends on how you perceive your experiences. Okay, so the most straightforward way to rewire your brain for less anxiety is to face whatever you have to face. Okay? First of all, you have to ask yourself if that fear is, if really all dogs, example, for if caterpillars, in my case, if caterpillars are really dangerous, if driving alone, in my client's case, if driving my car is really dangerous, and then you have to start with tiny, teeny steps. It's not going from 0 to 1. It's 0, 0.01, 0, you understand? 0.5 until you reach 0, until you reach 1. What happens is that too often we want to go so quickly. And when you want to go from 0 to 1, what happens is that you will feel too anxious. The anxiety will still be too high. That is why it is important to take tiny steps. You build that ladder. You build a ladder, which means that, okay, I'm afraid of driving alone. I'm afraid of driving alone, for example. What can I do to start facing it? First of all, you have to start imagining yourself, seeing yourself driving in your mind. And you do that many times a day. You imagine yourself doing that thing that you want to do, you want to say, where you want to go to that office, do that letter, I don't know, go to that school, go to that work, file for that job. And it's making you anxious that years are passing by and you are not doing it. You have to start small. So what can I do? The smallest, tiny step that I can start with is starting to imagine it. If you can see it, you can have it. Then you have to take action. Ask questions, maybe. If it's for the car, you're afraid of driving the car, in my client's case, get a friend to sit in the car with you for the first time, maybe in years. Get a friend to sit down in the car with you. Hold the steering, hold the wheels. Then put your feet on the, on the pedals. Without driving the car, just, tiny steps. And that is why sometimes it is necessary to have the assistance of a therapy, which, depending on what you're going through, to help you, elaborate those steps. But where many people, where we really fail is because we overlook this first step, which is to do it little by little. Then you have to allow yourself to face the fear. Even if you, like I was just saying, even if it makes you afraid, even if you feel afraid about it, you feel fear coming up when you're thinking about it, do it. Yes, do it. Do that. Do those little steps. Take those tiny steps. And little by little, like they say, a tongue wasn't built in one day. A house, you don't build a house in one day, no matter how quick one person can build a house. It is not built in one day. A city is not built in one day. Why do we want to, change what's going on inside of us in one day? It doesn't happen that way. It's a process. You have to take time to do it. It really takes time, and it's tiny steps. So there is you have to expose yourself, and this is oh yes, that's in my behavioral therapy course. That's where I learned these things. You understand? Expose yourself to what's scaring you. I mean, if it's really something that's dangerous, somebody, I don't know, you won't expose yourself to that. But if you need to talk to somebody or something like that, or you're afraid of an animal or something like that, where you're not really in danger, you have to take your car and drive. You have to create exposure. Okay? And as I said, it's simple, but it's not easy to do it. Now, just because it's not easy doesn't mean that it is impossible. Not at all. Face the fears. Makes the exposure ladder. In PNL, in NLP, in French we say PNL. In English it is NLP. Neuro-linguistic program. Neuro-linguistic program. We are taught that there is a principle which said that everything can be modeled and taught if you break it down into sufficiently small parts. You see? Sufficiently small parts, so tiny parts, tiny parts. You break it down, and then you start doing the one which is the easiest one. That's how you start to face your fears. Okay? So start by facing the easiest one first. And that's what I said, that most of us miss on that part because we jump in it too fast. We jump into it too fast, and we go from 1 to 2 instead of 0, then 0.1 and 0.5, then 1. What we do, we jump from 1 to 2, and when this happens, we panic, we escape. Then then you never want to face it again. And what happened at this particular time, your fear is reinforced. You have to change your rules. Courage is not the absence of fear, but it is rather choosing to do what you have to do instead of avoiding fear. Like in my case, as I said, even if caterpillars got me anxious, it was Listen. Hello, Listen. Sister Listen, welcome. So even if I was afraid of caterpillars, making my garden was more important to me than being afraid of the caterpillars. And how did I get that fear of caterpillars? It was my mom. My mom made me afraid of caterpillars. As I used to, when I was a child, I loved plants. And one day, I got a guava, like a guava skin. And there was little plants growing in it. And I didn't know she was afraid of caterpillar. But there was no caterpillar in this thing, I thought it was so nice. I brought it to her. And she thought it was a caterpillar. But the lady, she thought it was a caterpillar, so the lady, she screamed after me, and what happened? Yeah, what happened? That day, I started believing that caterpillars are dangerous. I didn't have a caterpillar. There was no caterpillar in my hand. There was no caterpillar in what I was holding in my hand. That's how the brains work. The reaction caused me to believe that caterpillars are dangerous, and I grew up being really, really, really scared of caterpillars. Really scared of caterpillars. But as time goes by and I face my fears of caterpillars, what happened? I'm doing my garden. If I see a caterpillar, if it's eating my things, I will get rid of it. I can tell you I'll get rid of it. I won't call somebody to come and help me. I will get rid of it. So you see, we can face, I got to understand that caterpillars are not that dangerous. It was just, I just got anchored. I got hooked in a belief that caterpillars are dangerous, but in fact, I wasn't in danger. I'm not in danger just because there's a caterpillar in my garden or there's a caterpillar in my plant. I'm not in danger. So that's how we deal with anxiety, the same way. Because once I saw a caterpillar, I would sweat, I would run, I feeling like, that's how I was when I saw a caterpillar. It got me really anxious. So, you see, we can't deal with the anxiety. We can't deal with it. Okay? Now, as I said, you don't move from 0 to 1. You have to move step by step, really tiny step. Okay? Remember this. Now, don't say that even if it makes you uncomfortable, you do it anyway. Okay? It makes me uncomfortable writing this letter, I do it anyway. It makes me uncomfortable going and get that job, I do it anyway. It makes me uncomfortable being around cats, I have to do it anyway. But with tiny steps, it's not just going, one day you just stay there and you say, let me go around the cat for me to see what will happen. Oh, well, what will happen is that you will say, oh, I'm going to do it until I will stay around the cat until I start feeling anxious. Or I will do it unless I'm feeling anxious. These two rules will get you more anxious, okay? It will increase your anxiety, and you will not want to do it again. You will escape. Your brain will say, okay, we'll do it, and then I will escape. It's okay, that's what you want. Right. So, the new rule is, I will do it even if it makes me anxious, until my anxiety decreases. It will, in the beginning, it will make you anxious. As time goes by, you will feel less anxious. You will feel less anxiety, and your anxiety will decrease to a good level. And when you start that tiny step, example, starting to imagine yourself doing whatever you have to do, which scares you, you start with that until you get comfortable with it. When you get comfortable with it, and you feel the anxiety decreasing, then you can go to another tiny step. And each time you allow yourself time. You allow yourself not only time, you allow yourself to feel, you allow yourself to be there with the emotion, and then what happens? Because you're facing it, the anxiety will decrease, because your brain will realize that it's okay. It's okay to feel the fear. It's okay to feel it. And I'm not so much in danger as I thought. See? Okay, so the new rule is, I will do it even if it makes me anxious. So now you're going to face your anxiety, practicing exposure, and establishing your actions. You practice exposure to the thing, you start there, inside there, that's where you start, and then you establish little steps that you can take one by one step at a time. You can't be in a hurry to do this, and then you will realize that your anxiety is decreasing, and you will start loving you will start doing the things that you love. You will start doing it again. You will start loving your life again. You will start realizing that, okay, I can face life. My emotional muscles are now built. They are now strong. I can face my emotions. I can deal with my emotions. I can let myself feel my emotions. If it's cry, I have to cry. I can allow myself to cry. If I'm afraid, I can allow myself to feel the fear. I can allow myself to feel what I'm feeling, and I can expose myself to the things that scares me, because somewhere deep inside I know that it's not really a danger, it's just that I'm feeling endangered. Okay, so that's it. And you can also have some self-regulation activities to help you do that, which means that Do things which will help you calm down. Go and take a walk. I don't know, do some dancing classes, whatever that will make you, help you face it. Now, don't do these activities just to create avoidance, because your anxiety will get tougher. You do it to help you, to enhance what you want to do, to enhance your exposures. Okay? You can do that. So you emerge into it, you face the roaring lion, that dragon, and see if you survive. And I can tell you, you will survive. Okay? You will survive. So the new rule here is, it's okay. I can feel anxious or uncomfortable. I can shake, I can sweat, but I just stay with it. I let myself feel it. And the result will be you creating new neuronal connection. And that's really nice. You create new neuronal connections, and your brain starts to think, okay, I'm safe. It's okay. I'm all right. It's okay to feel what I feel. I'm a human being. I feel things. So I allow myself to feel it. I don't escape it. I don't avoid it. I don't run away from it. I allow myself to feel it. And then I take action. Okay? So I just hope that this has been helpful. So if you avoid them, you will be increasing. Remember that if you avoid the anxiety, you will increase it. If you face it, if you face your fears, they will decrease. If you face your fears will decrease. If you avoid your fears, they will increase. So this may look too simple to you. This may look too impossible for a big leap. This may look like too much of a big leap to you. Okay, different people perceive things differently. One of the things that you can do with a therapist has elaborated. Valence, hi, thanks for coming. So therapist has elaborated a great deal of devices to break that big leap, to break that panic attack, to break that, to break that big leap that you have to take to face your fears. In therapy, we have elaborated a lot of devices, with the NLP tools, a lot of tools, really powerful tools. Mia, so I lost you, Mia. Okay, and you're back. So therapist has in therapy there are a lot of devices that has been elaborated, a lot of tools to enhance people who want to assist, people who want to deal with their anxiety, to deal with depression. There are already a lot of tools to help you deal with it, and I just gave you a simple one which you can do alone. And as I said, it's simple, but it is not always easy. What's simple is not always easy. But just because it's not easy doesn't mean that it is impossible. It's not. The quicker you start to try these things, the better the quicker you will feel better, and the quicker you can live your life to the fullest. So there are a bunch of tiny steps in therapy that you can do. And one of the actions that you can take is get in therapy, get help, get assistance. No matter where you are, get assistance. It is not a weakness to get assistance. In fact, it may even be a strength for you. It's one of the first actions that you can take to get your healing. So I thank you all for being here. If really anyone wants to reach out, or somebody who is suffering from anxiety and who wants to reach out to us at One Accord, to me or to the numbers that I will give you, feel free to do it. A wise man is full of strength. Okay, yeah. Yes. So feel free to do it. Feel free to get help. Feel free to ask for assistance. Okay. Right. So the numbers, I don't know if Sister Lucine or Brother Silburn has the numbers with which you can reach out to us. Okay. So before I leave you, I will tell you that it is really not impossible. It is not impossible to rewire your brain, because that's what your brain does all the time, except that it does it with what you are feeding upon, with what you are feeding it upon. Okay, that's necessary. That's important that we know that our brains are rewiring all the time, which means that it is building neuronal connections all the time, and it builds it according to what we are feeding it upon. If we are feeding it upon thoughts of safety, it will provide us with the chemistry, the chemistry of happiness, of joy. If we are feeding it upon thoughts and beliefs of danger, it will give us that same. It will give us cortisol. It will give us too much adrenaline, etc., etc. So it is up to us to decide today what we are going to feed our brains on, what we will do to get out of the vicious cycles that has been created in our lives. It is up to us to decide if we are going to take our breakthrough, if we are going to get out of the vicious cycle, and how we are going, what are the first steps that we are going to do to get out of the vicious cycle of anxiety, of depression, of trauma. It is possible to get out, and it is wise to ask for help. If you can't do it alone, it is wise to ask for help. Okay? So I'm leaving you with these numbers. I thank you for your time. I hope you got something out of this. I really want to believe that you got something out of this, which will help you in the near future to face your fears. Okay? That they become no more fears, but no more overwhelming, that they become less overwhelming, that you start controlling your life instead of fear controlling you. Okay? Thank you, Leonita. Bless you. So the numbers that you can reach us is, the first one is plus 596 696 39 24 19. That's a Caribbean number. Okay, that's the first one. And the other two is, if you're in America or like certain persons who are reaching out, you can use this number 347 675 8729. Okay? And okay, so there was another number. I guess Sister Lucine or Brother Silburn will put it on somewhere in the comments, and so that you can reach out. So I really hope that you had a wonderful time. I thank you for coming by. It was a pleasure having you and sharing with you. Melicia Louise, thank you. Serge Ruben, thank you. Jeanette Henry, thank you. Leandro Lizzie, thank you. Leonita, Sophia, Mia. So my family is there and I'm thankful. Okay, thank you. Sister Lucine, Brother Silburn. Who else? Where am I? Okay. Hennes Clifton, thank you. Naima Avril, thank you for coming. Clifton, yes. I'm trying to get it. Okay. Janelle, thank you. December, Rowan December, thank you for coming. Thank you. Lori, thank you for coming. Ange Michel, thank you. Thank you, Maya. Sarah Lee Carew, thank you for being here. Blaise Noel, Bless you all, everyone. Terence Rene, Michael, Monlouis, thank you for coming by. Sister Lucine, as I said, thank you for coming by. It was a pleasure having you. Valence Sanson, thank you for coming by. It was a pleasure having you all, and I hope to see you all the next time. And you can feel free to reach out if you are going through personal stuff and you want really personal assistance. Yes, if you want personal assistance, you can reach out to us, and feel free to do so. The quicker we get out, or we get these things out of our ways, the better our lives get. And it's never too late to do the right thing. Never too late to do the right thing, my people. No matter what's your age, I have clients who are 80 years old, I have clients who are 50, clients who are 30. I mean, it's never too old. You're never too age, because people are not old. You're old only, your body is old only when you in the ground, when you're buried. As long as you're alive, as long as you have life, there is hope. So you can grasp this hope and start doing the right thing for yourself, for your body, because nobody else will do it for you. You're the only one who can do it for yourself. Okay? Anxiety, depression, trauma, we can work this out. Thank you. See you next time. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye. Okay. I think. Bye. I think, okay. Good. Bye, Leonita. Thank you. Okay. Yes.